Welcome back, everybody, after a 2-week hiatus. And we are back with another episode of the Third Banner Pod. I am joined by Ty and Ross today, and we have a lot to talk about, especially because we've been out for a couple of weeks. I won't say a whole lot has happened this week. I feel like last week we had a good week to talk about stuff, but we just couldn't line up schedules. It happens, but we do have a huge visit ahead for football next weekend at the Big Barbecue. 2025 looks like it's going to be an insane recruiting year already off the bat. We're going in deep, got a lot of 4 and 5 star talent. I have counted 14 4 and 5 stars coming for that visit. So we're going to get into that. We are also going to touch on a couple of minor basketball updates. Talk about Tyler Johnson. Do we think he's going to come? Do we not? I know we've talked about it in the past, but haven't heard a whole lot there. We're also going to talk about the upcoming TBT. We've got some news there, and that looks like it's going to be really entertaining. So with that being said, how you guys been? Ross, I know you were on a hiatus last week. You know, you had a good time.
Yeah, I had planned a bachelor party, been planning that for about 7 months for my best friend Chris. It was awesome. Went to Lake of the Ozarks, made a lot of memories. It was 15 of us, 15 guys. It was what happens in Missouri stays in Missouri.
Fair enough.
Well, they call it the show me state, and you hung out with a bunch of dudes. So I don't want to know what y'all were showing each other.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
Couch
man,
house.
look at
Hey,
this.
how's it
What's that
going,
look like
man?
to you?
Ross, were you all out there actually recreating the Top Gun video?
Oh man, no, we were more doing like the Lonely Island, Andy Samberg. I'm on a boat with our flippy floppies. Like we were doing that a lot.
Okay.
Hit up the Party Cove. Man, it was a good time. I played golf. Actually, I became an amazing golf ball whacker guy one of those days. I'm not good, but it was one of the days was pretty rough. But it was hot every day though. So
Right on.
but it was awesome.
Well, we got Couch House first as usual in the comments. I think he's made it a point to be first, but I appreciate
Couch
it, man.
House is a loyal listener.
Yeah, we need a few more Couch Houses in here.
We do.
If you're not as dedicated as Couch House, what are you doing?
That's what I'm saying. We don't want you if you're not
Couch
you're not
House.
Couch House.
Couch House
We don't
sets
want
the
you.
standard, and he has a
Coach
high.
House.
He raises the bar very high, but that's where we now set our expectations. So we appreciate them. That being said, I wanted to go over this list, and it's an ever-growing list, and I have a feeling it's going to continue to grow. It's our 2025 barbecue list. Tron, good evening, fella. Let's see. It's our list for next weekend, and it's all. I haven't even listed the 3 stars because there are 14 4 and 5 star guys. So I counted 4 safeties on this list. I've counted 3 or 4 cornerbacks. I've counted a lot of receivers. You could argue there's not enough beef on the front for this visit as far as offensive and defensive line, but there's a lot of linebackers coming to visit.
There's some good defensive linemen on that list.
I saw one. I've got one. I was looking at Rivals list, so Ty Spalding. So Ty, I know you listen to this, so I hope you don't mind us using your list. I do feel like Ty had the list out before anybody else. So if somebody else had all these names out before Ty and Rivals, then my apologies, but I do tend to track these things. I try to give credit where credit's due, and I do feel like Ty has been on top of this for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to quickly try to read some of these names. We got 4-star, top 175 receiver, K.O. Lockett. Jadon Blair is a safeties, 4-star. Caleb Cunningham is the 5-star receiver. I mean, I've seen him ranked composite top 10. Jonte Gilbert, 4-star safety. Ivan Taylor, 4-star cornerback. Jet White, 4-star cornerback. He has family from Louisville. His recruitment will be interesting because he just released a top 25, which is something it just keeps going more and more. And you have raised the bar on top list. I'll put it that way, man. Top 25. Did you just literally look at the top 25 ranked preseason teams?
I think he's got Ivy Tech is probably like 24 or something.
Russell Babineau. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing some of your all's names, and my handwriting sucks. So that being said, I think it's
I think you got that
Babineau.
one right. Nailed it.
4-star receiver. Ethan Pritchard, 4-star linebacker. Caleb Edwards is the 4-star defensive tackle. So he's the one defensive lineman I saw. Trey Fuller, 4-star safety. You know what? I can't read my own handwriting. Waller, athlete, 4-star. De'Air Hill, 4-star athlete. Amari Wallace, 4-star safety. Eric Winters, 4-star linebacker. And that's just the 4 stars and the 5 stars. I didn't mean to. I don't mean any disrespect towards the rest of you 3 stars, but I can't read names, or we're going to be an hour and a half into this pod, and I'll still be reading names. So that's how big of this list is. And every single time I look on the sites, seems like there's more people. So
Yeah,
I expect more, and I'm pumped about it, guys.
Yeah, I think I think we're going to probably undoubtedly get some surprise visitors on there as well that are going to just kind of pop up there last minute. So, I do want to throw out the strong side defensive end, Adam Chauvelin. That's from Connecticut. He's 6'6", 235.
Okay, that's
And
one I don't have. That's what I'm
was
saying. I don't even know. I've tried to get them all, but
weak side defensive end, Damian Shanklin. He's also a 3-star, 6'5", 225, and he's from Warren Central up in Indy. So I think he'll be one to watch for sure. Like I think that you're looking at those guys with 3 stars. Some of those, we've seen it. Like we have guys that we get, and then they go. Like these kids are going to be what, juniors this year, right? So I mean, a lot of these guys are going to move, and I know that this staff knows how to evaluate talent. I trust that they know how to evaluate talent. So I think a lot of these guys are going to move up, and it's a big weekend, man. It's a big weekend.
I do remember the Warren Central now, the player out of there. It's so hard for me to keep up with all these guys, but Warren Central is arguably the biggest football school in Indiana. It's up there. It's definitely top 5.
That's Cathedral.
And Jeff Brohm, it's up there with a couple of those.
Yeah,
Jeff Brohm probably has a lot of connections from his Purdue days up there. So that's a big connection to have. It's not that Indiana produces a ton of football talent that we would consider elite. They really don't, just like Kentucky. But a school like Warren Central is one of the few that you can get a couple of guys out there who are just absolute studs, and they are the best of the best. So that's good to see. I remember that now that you say that, Ross, and I remember thinking, well, that's a good pipeline to get going here at Louisville, and hopefully with Jeff's previous connections, we can get that going.
That's exactly what I was going to touch on, is where the talent's coming from. So obviously the list is very talented. There's a lot of 4 and 5 star guys and some 3-star guys, but the thing I care about the most is where they're coming from. You mentioned Warren Central. That's a huge program in Indiana, and it's one that I'm sure Jeff's gone to previously at Purdue, and he'll probably continue to go there. And you mentioned, Kyle, that Indiana doesn't produce a ton of talent, but like I said, Warren Central, Cathedral, those schools, they always, every single year, have multiple guys that are going to go play D1 ball. And I'm looking throughout the list. You got Paul joining in. Greetings from Bowling Green.
Welcome, Paul.
Welcome,
all the way
Paul.
From the BG.
Yep. But yeah, that's the main thing that I kind of take away from it. I'm seeing, Amari Wallace from Miami Central. Like, how awesome would that be to get in more with Miami Central? They produce players every single year. Ivan Taylor's a safety from Winter Garden, Florida. Anybody from Florida. There's a receiver from Texas. I think Khalil Lockett is from Texas. So that's what's interesting to me, to see where the talent's coming from, who Jeff and the staff have their eyes on, and if they're going to try to build some new pipelines of relationships in places that we haven't seen Louisville recruit from, historically all that well. So that's definitely interesting to me to see, Miami Central, Florida, the Warren Centrals of that. That's really cool to see.
I also noticed, I don't know if you guys noticed, but there are a lot of prospects, it seems, on that list from Louisiana. That's kind of, we've gotten kids out of Louisiana before, but I wouldn't say that we have a rich recruiting history from that state. We've
No.
gotten quite a bit of players from Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Carolinas, Tennessee, but Louisiana and Arkansas is kind of states that we don't have a lot of connections to, and there's a lot of kids that we're recruiting that are coming for this. I saw maybe at least it seemed like maybe 3 to 5 kids that were coming from there. It might be more, but that jumped out to me because that's not a state that we normally hit. So I'd be curious who on the staff has some ties down there. So
I've got my ideas of what that is, Ross, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I know like Zach Soskin, he's very involved in the NIL end of the guys, and he has a lot of ties to this program. I think it probably, and I mean, if Zach ever by chance hears this, he can correct me, but I think it probably started with that Bosco connection more than anything, and it's just developed from there. I don't claim to know all of what Zach does. I know he's very plugged in to where these players go, to helping facilitate NIL deals. I call them NIL agents, but that may not be everything you do, Zach. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there. But I have noticed that the strategy seems to be to find a group of players in a geographical area, a group of highly talented players. Get them on board if you can. Introduce them to the idea that we will set you up. Yeah, we can offer a lot up front for NIL, but there are other schools that can replicate that, if not exceed that. But I feel like him and the way we do it, we set them up for long-term success. And what we do is we try to pitch that idea, and we find this group of players in geographical areas, and we try to get them on board. Maybe I'm wrong. This is all just me speculating, because I look at what we did in the Bosco area, but then it wasn't even just limited to Bosco. We had Jamari came from California. We had another guy. He was an offensive lineman. We thought we were going to land him, and he ended up, I don't know, that went south pretty fast with the parents or whatever trashing us on Twitter. But nonetheless, we were targeting a lot of guys, not even just the Bosco guys. Then you have Miami this recent, like this current class, 2024. We seem to really be targeting that area and Florida. And so it wouldn't surprise me, long story short, if we are also looking at like these guys and saying, let's try to get Louisiana. There's a group of guys there. If we can get these guys on board together. And I think it's a great strategy for a school that doesn't carry the tradition of an Alabama or Clemson or a Georgia.
LSU.
We're not going to, those schools don't have to focus like that. They can just, like Alabama and Georgia, for example, they probably don't even have to do anything. They probably just say, hey, let us know when you want to come visit if you're a top-ranked guy. And then, they probably are knocking at their doors. Now,
well, that
like us, we have to actually
that in Alabama and Georgia, they could just stay in their own state, in Texas, for example, whereas, Louisville, we can't just stay in the state of Kentucky and go get players.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be a player or two every cycle, maybe even more. But, that's probably when you talk about the Louisville job, that's probably one of the most difficult parts to it, is because your state just doesn't produce a ton of talent. You have to go out and find players. And that's what's exciting, is the fact that we're going into, Mississippi, Louisiana, Florida, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We mentioned Jet White. He's from Los Alamitos, California. I mean, Los Alamitos produces players every year. If I'm not mistaken, DeAndre Moore from last year's cycle played at Los Alamitos before he transferred to Bosco.
I think you're right.
So that's the most exciting part of this whole thing to me, just to see how much talent is coming to visit and where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good point, Kyle. I'd still think though, there's got to be some coach or coaches that have some connections down there to help have the relationships.
I'm sure.
Surely we're not just going in there blind, but I definitely agree with your
point. I
mean
that.
Yeah, I'm just clarifying. I think you're right though. I think that they definitely seem to be picking up on pockets of kids that they can try to clump together and make it work. So
Coach Hova is doing a ton of work down in Florida, man. He's been just awesome with the Miami area.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're paying him, but they can't be paying him enough. He's done wonders for us in Miami so far and down south.
It's gonna suck if we lose him, but that position in general is just a very high turnover because they're trying to
It
take
is.
that next
They
step.
got to do whatever they can to keep him. He's been awesome.
I know, and if that's a promotion to the position,
Hmm.
to up, but then of course somebody else would have to go. I don't know. It's tough, but hey, let's just enjoy it while we have it.
Hmm.
Ride the wave. I would argue he's the best one yet in that position,
He's
and,
been
and it
great
may
and
not even be close.
totally invaluable. What
Doc,
he's been
what's
doing.
up, man? Good to see you on
So Doc, Papa Doc.
from Cranbrook. It's a private school. Come on, who watches 8 Mile?
Yeah, Darren's parents have a real good marriage.
But yeah, so we've got, every time I look on the message boards it seems like we got a new name added to that 2025. Obviously, the 2024 class is interesting, especially now that TJ Capers is reclassed. So, which is a good thing, obviously, which, by the way, I want to say real quick, that TJ Capers stuff, it killed me inside to not bring that up at all as a rumor
2
on
weeks
here.
ago. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw, I know Ross posts from the main Discord, the Discord Twitter account. That's linked to us as well. Our Discord, this pod, it all goes together. So he had linked the timestamps, but we had heard about a week ago or a week before. No, 2 weeks, about 2 weeks.
We
before.
heard weeks before that came out.
It's
It
about
was
2 weeks.
actually,
Yeah.
it was
It's about,
probably 2 or 3 weeks.
yeah, it's 2 or 3 weeks before the TJ
News
Caper
came
stuff
out.
came out. We had heard, hey, keep an eye on it. It's something that could definitely happen. He could be reclassing to 2023. And it just sounded so crazy because you don't hear about that in football, especially this late. Like there was no rumors of it. There was no nothing. So I wanted to ask like a Ty Spalding or somebody, one of those guys. I wanted to post it on the boards. But more than anything, I just wanted to say on the pod, hey, keep an eye on some good football news coming up.
Yeah.
With recruiting. I mean, some really unexpected but good news. And I was going to leave it at that. But I reached out to the guy that shared it in our Discord, and he asked me not to do that. And I can understand why he didn't want to mess any of that up because it wasn't a done deal. And it's like if I literally came out and said TJ Capers could be reclassing and then he didn't, well, that's a lot of undue pressure. So I get it, but it was very hard to not at least drop any hints at all. He asked me not to say anything remotely about it.
We somewhat hinted at it 2 weeks ago, but not enough to throw the scent off. We kind of said, keep your eye on some good football recruiting news coming up.
Oh, see, I don't even remember that, but
but
I don't remember anything.
I know we all were talking about beforehand, like, man, this is killing us. We really want it, but got to respect the source and.
You do.
We're just glad it happened.
And his info was dead on, and it came, few weeks in advance. So,
yeah,
yep, yeah, and that is a big time player to get not only on your campus, a year early, but for him, he's already looks physically ready to play. You're going to get him on campus even earlier. He's going to be able to work with the team. He's going to have all that time around all of the nutrition, all around the strength and conditioning. Like that is going to pay off majorly. And from what we hear, he's going to play this year. I'd be curious to see how much he plays, how much they really need him to play. But if he's that talented, which we think he is. And I have questions too. I wonder if this is actually the natural class he's supposed to be in anyways. That's one of the thoughts that came across my head. I don't know how old he is, but I wonder if he's supposed to be in this class anyways, and that made it easier for him to reclass and get in here. So I'm pretty damn excited. I mean, to have, have a player like him and Stanquan as your future linebackers. I mean, that's something that we haven't seen since
from Miami, both of them.
Yeah, from like James Burgess and Keith Kelsey. I mean, that's like, I mean, we got two dudes. I mean, just dudes that are going to hold down that position, for for the next foreseeable years. Like
Well-
we look great at linebacker.
Ross, it gets even better. Just imagine 2 years from now, you have TJ Capers on one end and Adonijah Green coming off the other.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy to think about. I'm just glad we got him on campus now, and we didn't give 0-3 a whole year of putting him down the rankings. I know if we gave him another year, they probably have him as a 2-star by the end of it. So, how awesome was that though? It's going to be invaluable for TJ and his development getting on here early.
Oh, it's
Well, and the good
huge.
thing is, I don't think I really felt confident he would end up here, but it put a complete halt to any idea that he was going to flip or that he could be flipped.
Oh, dude, there was so much chatter on Twitter from Miami fans.
Which
They've been
Miami
talking about
fans,
that for
get
a
your
while.
shit together. Get your
Yeah.
shit together, Miami fans, because I saw y'all say he's a tweener and that he doesn't have a position and that you guys weren't very interested and you guys preferred his teammate. Get your shit together. That's not true. Pepperidge Farms remembers. I remember the day he committed. Pepperidge Farms remembers. You guys were like, he's not going to stick. He's coming to Miami. He won't be able to resist. South Beach, he can't resist us.
Teddy's not going to stick with Louisville either.
Yeah, no. And take your loss. Y'all get plenty of guys in your own backyard. Your classes are great. Take your one loss like a man and move on.
Or woman.
Or woman.
Just take that L.
Mm-hmm.
Just L.
Take all the L's. Hopefully you'll be taking one in November. Although
hell yeah,
all of us predicted. No, wait, Ty, you predicted we would beat them, didn't you? Miami this year.
I think I did.
Yeah, you're the only one.
I had us going into Miami and winning that game.
I'm going with the reverse jinx.
And now I want to
Ross, I believe in that, even though you don't think I do. You think I'm just making that. I've always reversed jinx.
I want to re-up my prediction. TJ Capers goes in and gets 10 sacks. How about that, Miami?
Oh, man. Oh, I would have so much ectoplasm.
Dude,
it would be insane.
He's going to be sacking Miami's quarterback all night long. Mark it down.
Sacks on quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So that being said, we did get a little bit of basketball news. I mean, nothing big. I'm just looking for any glimmer of hope in basketball. I mean, anything, and just any little sliver. And somebody posted that Card Chronicle, I believe it was, had posted an article. And I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was on Card Chronicle, but they posted an article where somebody said that
Was it CDK?
No, I don't believe it was, but I don't know. Maybe somebody can find that. But I know that basically Sky Clark is looking like he's going to be a pretty good leader for us. And that's something that, after everything that we went through last year, just a little glimmer of hope, just a little one. It doesn't make me think we're going to, kick everybody's ass next year and be a top 25 team or anything. But I think what it was the big men. I guess Kenny Payne wasn't very happy with them during practice. And so he ordered them to run drills. And while they were running, Sky Clark decided, hey, I'm going to get up and I'm going to run with them. And then JJ Trainer decided, hey, I'm going to get up and run with them too. And little things like that, it's a very little thing, but I never heard anything like that last offseason. So I'll tell you the things that I hear, the fake juice type stuff, that happens every offseason. But that kind of stuff, like the examples of leadership, I didn't hear that last offseason. So that's at least good to hear. I'm hoping that Sky Clark is able to be the leader we need him to be, and he acts like he wants to take that role on. I know how Illinois fans feel about him. I know the rumors. I know the reasons they give, but I also know that from Sky Clark's end, I don't think the things he was promised, I don't believe were delivered upon. So I think that's a two-way street. Sometimes a marriage can end in divorce, and neither party is a bad person. They just weren't meant to be together. So I'm hopeful that that's what happened with those two parties, and I'm hopeful Sky is getting what he was promised here, which it sounds like he has been. And I'm hoping that he is the leader we need him to be, especially because we're hearing, again, guys like Tyler Johnson may not show up. It seems like more and more every single day. That's not going to happen. So I've actually set up in my mind that's not happening. So I'll be pleasantly surprised based on everything that we keep hearing.
Yeah. What's the line from Remember the Titans when Gary and who was his
Strong side, left side.
yeah, what was the other guy's name? Drawing a
Never
blank right
watched
now.
it.
Huh?
Lucky guess.
Anyways, he says attitude reflects leadership. And like that it's one thing to be a leader. It's another to talk the talk, but to actually walk the walk and do what the guys are doing and going through the pain and the punishment with them. That's a real leadership skill. Anybody like Kyle, you were military, I'm sure you could probably relate a lot to that. That's not, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to show you. That's a big deal. Actions speak a lot louder than words.
Mhm.
And we're getting a lot of little things like that about Sky Clark this offseason already. So he sounds completely locked in. He sounds like I think we're going to get something really special out of this kid this year. Not any knocks to any players from last year, but there was a lot of leadership that was lacking from that team last year. It showed. There was no leadership, it really seemed, at all. And I think we're getting guys that are just locked in and they're just ready to focus and ready to lay it out there and actually go play. And if you listen to some other guys that are alumni that are around right now because they're on the TBT team and they're around the facilities right now a lot. They're uttering the same things. This isn't fake. There's no agenda there. They don't have any agenda to help Kenny and this staff. There's nothing there, but we're all hearing the same thing. So I'm very encouraged by it. So we will see, but I think we're going to get something extremely special with Sky Clark that we've been missing from that position for a few years now.
The other thing we are hearing, and this one I'm hoping it is true, but we heard the same thing about Fabio Basili last offseason, which is we're hearing Coron Davis is looking very impressive this offseason. And I know people say, well, that's being negative, that you would even assume that it might not be true. Let me tell you something. I have a really good memory about certain things. And I always remember people's takes because and the reason why I try to is because what people like to do is they like to give a take and then forget they ever made that take and just move on to the next take and continue the same pattern of thinking with nobody ever saying, hey, maybe you should reconsider because you remember the other 500 times you've done that and it didn't happen. So I remember stuff like that. So long story short, I'm hearing Coron is looking really good. He's really impressive. He's running some guard and he's looking good. I hope it's true. But I also remember people like Fabio last year. I can't just forget that people acted like he was the second coming last offseason. And they would act like now some of those people would say, nobody ever said that. Yes, they did.
Yeah,
Yes, they did. And so I do remember that. I do hope that it's true. I'm more optimistic about hearing the things about Sky Clark because those are things he's actually doing that you can actually point to and say, it's not subjective. It's not like Coron looking impressive. Are we playing hard? There's a lot of factors that go into what do you consider impressive and all that. But what Sky Clark did, leading by example, he had a specific thing we heard that he did. And if there's more people doing things like that, I have more hope for this team than last year based on that alone because we didn't have anyone from what we know. Maybe we did. I don't think so. I don't think anybody was doing those kind of things. So,
yeah.
but
And to your point, Kyle, having that memory bank of who said what and when, like the people that are saying stuff about Coron Davis this week and and over the past weekend are people that have been very skeptical and critical of the Kenny leading this program thus far. And they're seeing these things like firsthand.
That's
So,
good.
that's a positive. That's a positive. Like
Sure.
I don't know how that's again, you got to look at where these sources are coming from and what their track record has been on what they've been sharing. Are these people that have romanticized the process every off season, or is this people that just give it to you the way that, give you the dirt the way that it is? And we're getting a lot more people that are, just tell it how it is, that are sharing these things. So it's positive. It's all kind of working out together right now.
And speaking of keeping memories real quick, Ty, I just want to say, if Coron ends up being a beast, I remember everything I thought when he committed. I remember what I said.
There's going to be so many of us that are eating crow.
99% of us remember what we all
Trust
said.
Trust me. There's nothing I want more than to come on this show and say I'm a dumbass. I was wrong.
Yeah, totally stupid.
Because I'll be honest. I was extremely skeptical of Coron committing and his future and his role. So there's nothing that we want more. We want to come on the show in December and say, you know what, guys, we're an idiot. We said Coron would not be good, and here he is.
Like
we are
an collectively one.
We are idiots.
Together.
We are dumbasses.
We are idiots.
Yes. Yes.
Let me ask y'all something. Taking out L. Ellis, who was the last JUCO player that we had that had a major impact for our program? I'm like trying to think.
Chris Jones.
Who?
Chris Jones.
Was he a JUCO?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
He was the #1 JUCO player in his class too.
Okay. And Coron Davis is what, 3?
I thought he was on and I don't mean any disrespect to him, but I thought he was on like a different lower level of JUCO, and so his ranking I thought was from there.
I'm not going to pretend to know the JUCO scene that well, but I'm pretty sure his division of JUCO is low. Is
not
lower.
Like where L. Ellis was. Like L. Ellis played in the highest.
It's definitely
level.
not the level that L. Ellis was playing at, or Chris. I'm pretty sure Chris and L played at very similar. Well, no, actually, didn't L play in Carolina? Was his JUCO in Carolina? I know Chris came from Florida. He played at one of the big JUCOs in Florida.
I don't remember where the hell L came from, man.
I don't know. But anyways.
I don't know. It was something I was thinking about. I didn't even know that about his JUCO being like lower level JUCO. I mean, if this kid ends up being a player, man, I mean, it's hats off to KP and the staff, man, because we're just gonna be wrong.
All right, I'm gonna go through some of these comments real quick.
I see my boy Luke in the comments. There's
Luke saying Cane's chicken is greater than Cane's football. Miami sucks. I don't think that's a compliment towards Cane's. I think he's saying that like Miami's so bad. But I don't know. I could be reading that wrong.
Luke is my high school friend, my boy. He knows what's up.
Oh, okay.
It should be Cane's is equal, and then that little line like Cane's chickens to Cane's football, because you get yourself really hyped up for it, and then it just disappoints every time. That's
UL248, fresh off his bachelor party hangover, says that he hopes he's wrong about Coron, but the 2 games he saw of him were not great. I hope you were as drunk when you watched those games as you probably were last weekend.
Listen,
I understand where you're coming from based on what I saw too. I didn't see full live games, but I watched portions of one of the same games you were watching, and it wasn't good. So I'm just hoping he had an off day. But,
while we're talking about Coron, this is what I was going to say. And I think we saw Louisville basketball put out a video of some practice clips. I know they posted it to Instagram. I'm sure they put it on all their socials, but it got shared around. The video opens up with Coron driving to the basket. He has a nice dunk, and at the very end, it ends with him driving the lane and kicking it out to Trey White for an open 3. I hope all the reports of Coron looking good, I hope it's true, because this team is going to need him. They're going to need someone that can give Sky. I love Sky. I've been on this podcast and said many times I think Sky is probably going to be our best player, and I'm super excited for him. But he's going to need. There's going to be times where Sky's in foul trouble, or he's tired and needs a break. And with the news and the rumors surrounding Tyler Johnson and not going to end up making it, they're going to need a guy who can relieve Sky for a few minutes. And I hope to God it's Coron. I hope it is.
So what you're saying is the sky does have limits.
The sky does have limits. It does. That's another great dad joke.
Man, that's all I'm here for. That's what I tell
Hey,
people at
man.
work. I tell people at work when I'm
These-
in my morning meetings, I have one good dad joke a day, and I'm like, you just like once I say it, I'm like, that's all you're gonna get, guys.
I like
he's
how
like,
I like Couch House's comment. I like his idea. If Quran surprises us, then we should all go eat canes with Ty. I agree.
You just want that anyway.
Kyle, you were like Kyle, you like butter. You're on a roll with that joke there. That was good, man.
Oh yeah, I got you. I got you, Ross. So I'm looking here. So is Tyler not going to make it, guys? Anthony Eason. I don't think he's going to make
It's
it.
not looking good, Anthony.
Yeah. The
Mostly
longer
cloudy.
it goes, the worse it is.
Yeah. We thought if we didn't hear anything by, I believe it was like the July 6th time period when the new semester classes started for the summer, it was bad news bears. And about a week after that we started hearing
or something.
I feel like it's about a week after that Rutherford said, like, hey guys, it's not sounding very good. So I don't think we're going to get Tyler Johnson. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're all surprised. But these things tend to be one of those things too, where the staff will kind of just, we're still thinking we'll get them. We're still thinking we'll get. They hold out hope. Then all of a sudden, just one random day, boom, not coming. And sometimes it goes all the way up to the start of fall practice. So, but I mean, I'm assuming unless we hear something I'm already assuming that he's not going to make it. But I mean, the more time goes on, like you guys have been saying, even less. Like every single day that passes at this point.
I mean, and I've mentioned it on here before. When we reached out to the North Carolina guard who decommitted, I think his name is Welcher. He ended up going to St. John's, I believe.
Of course, everybody goes there now.
Yeah, and which, by the way, they got a huge commitment today. But
yep.
It doesn't. Anthony? It didn't add up. Like the roster was set in terms of scholarships, so it didn't add up. Like, why are you reaching out? And I said it before. In my opinion, that means that they had doubts. And at that time, Quran had not made it to campus either. So there was definitely doubts, in my opinion, on the staff side that one of Tyler or Quran was not going to make it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be reaching out to 23 high school kids at that point in the game. So,
to Anthony's point there about the adding another guard out of the portal, no, it is not too late. Former U of L Cardinal great coach Rick Pitino just got a big man today. Where was that? He decommitted from.
Didn't he decommit from IU or
no? It was Tennessee.
Tennessee.
And
he was close to going to IU, though.
He was very close to going to IU. This guy's recruitment, Ledlam, has been so weird. Like IU thought they had him in the bag. Then he went to Tennessee. Now he's at St. John.
He literally
he's clearly an NIL guy. Which you got to remember, St. John's has a billionaire up there dropping bags. So
and he was on record telling Rick that the bank was open. So they're building a contender there this year, and I don't want to say a championship contender, but they're going to be damn good and they'll be fun to watch for sure.
Can we bring Quinn back? Can we bring Quinn back?
No,
you don't want to bring Quinn back.
Well, he's a wing, so Kenny might. Okay. He's a wing. He's a small forward.
We already have 9 power forwards, so no.
So what's another one at that point, Ross? What's another one? You know what I mean? And the stories are great. Bringing Quinn back, the story would be awesome.
No. I listen. I was all for bringing Akoya Gal back. I'm not for bringing Quinn Slazinski back.
Now, come on. Quinn was way better than Okoye. And shout out to Okoye. He's a good guy. I know he's kind of been hanging out, but come on. Quinn was better.
Well, bottom line is the roster is not – no, we don't want Quinn.
No
offense. It's just like, dude, we've got a bunch of guys. Honestly, if you were going to bring Quinn back, then the guy that we got from Miami –
I can agree.
We should have substituted.
Danilo's going to be way better than Quinn.
We'll
I will go on record about that right now.
All right. I appreciate your optimism, and maybe you're right. We'll see. All right, Macro says that the 502 barbecue has impressive blue chip skill guys, but this is kind of what I was referring. But we need 300-pound defensive linemen. Well, we did get one 4-star defensive lineman on the list. We do have a 3-star out of Warren Central we talked about earlier. And Warren Central is one of those like probably one of the 3 biggest football schools in Indiana. And we talked about it earlier. So if you want to go back later and check out what we talked about with that list, but we did touch on that. And the guy from Warren Central, for example, that's a big football school. Now Indiana's not a big football state, but they have a couple of really elite level schools. So if we can develop a connection with a Warren Central, look, here's my goal with this whole barbecue. It's 2025. It's light years away. If we can get 2 or 3 of these guys to commit to us at some point down the road, it's a win. Because we have probably a total of 20 guys coming. You just don't usually end up getting a whole lot of commitments from one visit. So if we can get 2 or 3 of the higher end guys, and if we get offensive tackle out of that, that'd be great. I'm with you though. I do understand that.
Yeah, but here's the thing: like, we're running a 4-3 now, so like, you need 3 technique guys, whereas before when we were running the a 3-3-5, whatever the hell Brown wanted to run, undersized. Yeah, we don't. The guy, what's his name? Caleb Edwards, the 6'3", 325 guy. That's awesome because he would give you, if he's that damn good, like he could play a 1 or a 3 technique. That gives you some ability to play multiple defensive lineups. But our best defense that we've had in our probably lifetime was the Charlie Strong, and we had 5 to 6 guys that were in that 285 to 310 range. And they were 3 techniques, and they could also be, some of them were versatile enough, like Sheldon Rankins, to be moved as a 5 technique. So you don't need, if you're playing 4 down linemen, you don't need a dude that is just like huge in the middle. It doesn't really work out the same way. So you're looking at guys that are possibly 260 right now that are going to grow into that position. There's going to be plenty of those, which is why I've always been at a school like Louisville. We should always be running 4 down linemen, in my opinion, because the defensive linemen at this level are really, really hard to get, the ones that are the top studs. And it's a lot easier to recruit and build guys into a position like a 3 than it is to recruit guys that are naturally a 0 or a 1 technique in 3 down lineman setting at the college level, because there's just not enough of those guys, and the big schools always get them, and that's just the way that it goes. So that's kind of where I stand on that. I'm glad that we're back to like a more traditional 4-3. I think it's just a better fit for our school in general.
Yeah, and we can always hit the portal for positions that if we have a couple guys that, a couple positions that we're thin on, that's where the portal comes in. And I think that's really what's going to end up happening as more classes come in, is you'll start stacking with some high school guys, and you'll look at where you're thin, and then you'll focus mainly on those positions. Plus, a portal guy is going to want, a good portal player is not going to want to wait. So they're not going to come into some stacked position. They're going to come in where you need help immediately. So I think, if Jeff Brohm and company decide like, hey, we got a couple of defensive linemen we need to get, we're a little thin, then they're just going to hone in focus more on that in the portal than other positions in the portal, if that makes sense. So I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, it's plenty of time.
One other thing, it's coming up soon is the TBT. What happened with Earl Clark? He originally was announced that he was going to be in the tournament, and he had contractual obligations that would not allow him to be in the tournament
because of the big 3.
Because of the big 3. So, and that does happen, conflict of interest. But Hey, we've got an impressive list of guys. For us old school fans, man, it's going to be so much fun. And let me just go ahead and say, and maybe I'm biased because he's my favorite player of all time, but Russ Smith's going to absolutely kill this. I think he's going to be the best player on any of the teams. I'm saying it right now. Any of the teams, not just our team.
Russ is coming for that MVP. You
He's
better
coming
believe that.
for it. I mean, the dude is a monster. He's a monster.
So did either of y'all get the privilege to listen to Luke on 93.9 yesterday, and he was interviewing Mark Lieberman?
No.
Man, it was a great show. Shout out to Luke, and shout out to Mark for staying on there and giving that much time with Luke. It was, if you didn't hear it, I would suggest go back, go on ESPN Louisville, go check out the replays of the show from yesterday. But man, it was awesome. You know, they had that first practice, and Lieberman was dropping all kinds of good nuggets. You know, he said some of these dudes he knows already. Other ones he knows of or have maybe talked to, and some of them he really didn't know at all. But he said that one thing that is very clear amongst this group is that they are they understand how it was like everything that they had learned from Rick Pitino and that whole entire culture, even though they came from different times, it's like it's still there. It's
Mhm.
still very much there, even though some of these guys didn't play with each other at all. Their paths never overlapped, but it was like they're all on the same page. And then on top of it, all these guys have some sort of pro experience. So it's like you tell them to do something, and when they're going full speed, it's like it doesn't fall apart. They actually do it. You know what I'm saying? So they were really, really talking up Russ and Kirk yesterday, man. I think people that go to this are going to be surprised just how damn good, how much better Kyle has gotten since the last time we really got to see him. They cannot stress it enough. If you leave him open, if you roll under a screen, you are dead. He is hitting the shot.
He's
They
a pro
said he
player.
does not-
He's stuck around in Europe for this long. He's still playing. He's a pro
They
player.
said
Like
they said he doesn't miss like ever. They said
And you got to remember, Kyle Keurig had that. I mean, he almost died. He had that severe brain. I forget exactly what happened, but I just remember like, there was a time where it was like he's got to have an operation right now, and it could be fatal. But it's the only choice they had. And it's
thank God he pulled through because that was
he's even alive, much less like hitting all these threes Ross is talking about. But Ty, I see you pulled up the roster. Let's take a look at this roster.
So
One thing sticks out to me immediately with this roster. We have a new player that you guys may not have heard of in the middle there, Patrick Hancock.
You can remember when Patrick Hancock hit 4 threes in a row?
Me either.
Wow.
Patrick.
In a blink of an eye.
A blink of an eye. Yeah.
His name's Pat.
I thought that was
after
pretty
that game, I'll call him St. Patrick.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Ain't that the damn truth? Yeah. I mean, I really wish Luke was playing in this. I do, man.
Yeah, why isn't he? Just because he's tied up with all these other things?
My guess would be, yeah, he just knows that he might be better suited to be kind of just helping out. But I don't know. Like Luke, I guarantee you, Luke would go out there and just give some people the business. I have no doubt about that.
Funny enough,
he talked the best trash for sure.
I saw Luke when I was leaving Topgolf the other day. I think they were going in for that 502 event. He looks like he's still in good shape. I'm curious.
He 100% is.
Yeah, 100%. I was about to say, I was kind of curious why he isn't playing because he looks like he's in still good shape.
So that dude is a competitor. Like he does not like losing. Like he's a dog. Okay. So I'm kind of surprised he's not playing too, but he's got his reasons. Maybe it's his knees. I don't know, but maybe it has to do with his job with ESPN. I'm not real sure, but I wish he was though, man, because I know he'd give us all the good vibes all over again because dude's a legend, man.
So does Nanu does he shoot a granny shot free throw? Just for old time's sake.
Yes, he has to.
So wait, are you saying Luke Hancock's not playing, Ross? Because he's listed
No,
on here.
he's the GM.
Yep.
Oh, he's the GM. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's
Oh, Patrick Hancock is the GM. Luke might be playing,
Yeah.
but Patrick is the GM.
yeah.
So
Yeah. So Lieberman was talking about Nanu yesterday. He did have some really, really good things to say about Nanu. He said he actually never worked with Nanu, but he said that he was right away very evident that he's a natural leader. Said that a couple of guys were kind of like talking. I think I'm remembering this correctly, but a couple of guys were kind of like murmuring, and like Nanu kind of spoke up and said, "Hey, like, shut the hell up! Like, coach is talking." Like, so like to hear that Luke has said that he's in great shape. He's big as hell, just physical is all get out. And that was one thing I really took away from listening to them yesterday. They said the teams that usually do really, really well in this TBT tournament are the teams that don't whine and cry about fouls. They let them play. It's kind of a more traditional, like pickup. I don't want to say pickup style basketball, but it's more like a Big East days.
I was about to
basketball.
say we have quite the advantage because we were
Yeah.
a very physical team.
And
during
he
those
said that
years.
the teams that fare well in this are the teams that play and can play through contact and are tough. So I think that we've got a team that's built tough. Luke was talking about Russ, and he was just like, he's like, the dude's maybe 160, 65 pounds soaking wet. And he's like, I've never seen somebody that small that just finishes so effortlessly through contact the way that he does.
He's a beast.
He said Russ was just out there. He said he's such a gamer. He said he'll practice like crap, but as soon as you roll the ball out there, though, it's just like the dude is going to do business and you're not going to stop him. He said as soon as they started actually going and playing, he said he did an in and out move on somebody, and he said that they didn't say who it was, but he said he did an in and out move and made the dude move to the left like 6 feet, just shook him right out of his shoes. So
if it's like pickup style, Russ is going to average 50. I mean, it's going to be insane. He's literally going to drop 50 a game if it's pickup style.
I'm really, really excited. The downside though is that they were talking today. They were saying that the cheapest tickets to sit up high at Freedom Hall are like $33. That's pretty high. Like,
but the thing is, like Freedom Hall
not a bad seat in the house.
I was about to say there's not a bad seat in Freedom Hall. So
unlike the Yum, I'm sorry, I miss Freedom Hall a lot.
I do too.
I
can still smell Freedom Hall from here. I can smell it right now.
And I honestly think some of the spirit. I know everything else that happened with basketball, but I do think the Yum. It's an NBA.
Ross McMain's right there.
That's kind of what I thought it looked like.
I wish.
That's exactly who I thought when I first glanced at it.
Bop.
Speaking of playing physical, I think that really helps because we have Wayne Blackshear on the team, and it looks to me like nobody's going to be pushing him around.
Wayne, I remember back in the day, I think a lot of people used to call him Fat Wayne, and
as a joke.
Wayne as a joke because Wayne wasn't fat back then. Man,
the joke was that Rick Pitino was obsessed with Wayne Blackshear's body fat.
Yes,
Wayne would go out there, and we'd be like, "The dude's ripped, and he's in great shape." So we just started calling
Rick,
Fat Wayne because
he looks great.
Which maybe Rick, that is his frame because I don't mean any disrespect, but he's put on some weight. And maybe that's what Rick Pitino noticed was his frame had the susceptibility of adding unnecessary weight. And so he's just obsessed over Wayne's body fat. But we all called him Fat Wayne because it was like the dude was in great shape. But Rick Pitino just was always like, get on the bike, man. Get on the bike.
Didn't Rick say he likes drinking milk too much? Wasn't that something that he said, that Wayne liked drinking milk?
I don't know. I know Anas Mahmoud was polar opposite. He go to Cairo for a week and he come back 30 pounds lighter. Like, what the hell did you do, man? Puke?
Yeah, he
Like,
was
what's going
Rick
on,
was
man?
really mad about that.
Yeah, you remember that? He went to Cairo
Dude.
for like 2 weeks and came back. Like he put on like probably 15 pounds of muscle. He left for like 2
No,
weeks, came back and lost 25 or 30 pounds or something crazy.
it took them a year to put 30 pounds on him, and he came back in like I think it was 2.5, 3 weeks, and he had lost almost all of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
he
what
was
did you do,
pissed. He
man?
was mad, bro.
I will say I'm glad to see Shane Bohannon back. I know, when Shane left, it wasn't under the best of circumstances. I'm not going to get into all that. It doesn't
Shane
matter.
looks good.
But
Shane looks
but
real
I
good in that
that's what I was
video.
gonna say. In the video, Shane looks great. He doesn't
Yeah.
look like he looks like he has the same athleticism that he had.
Mm-hmm.
Still strong as hell. And I'm gonna be rooting for him, man, because we all know how it ended. Um, and I haven't really seen Shane around since, but I'm glad to see him back, and it's really cool to see this. I'm excited for this tournament. I've watched it over the past few summers, but because Louisville hasn't had a team, I haven't had much rooting interest. I know Ryan McMahon did it for the Dayton team a few years ago, so it was a little cool to see that. But I'm excited. This is going to be fun for
Why the
all
hell
Louisville
is Ryan
fans.
McMahon not on this team?
That's what I
Is
was
he?
wondering too,
I
because he
mean,
played on the Dayton team.
yeah, I know. Like, I don't know if he's playing somewhere and he can't play in this, but Jesus Christ, you put Ryan on this team, you've got a knockdown dead shooter with him with the inside presence that we've got on this
White
team.
pride.
Dog, Ryan would be coming in. He'd be stroking.
Pause.
Pause.
And on
Pause.
that note, I will say I do have to wrap up early tonight because I can hear my daughter banging on the door, screaming my name. And but we did touch on everything we wanted to. I don't want to just abruptly end. So do you guys have any final thoughts on anything that we've discussed? If you weren't here early, feel free to like and subscribe. And we did talk about the upcoming football weekend. We did talk about minor basketball updates for Kenny Payne and company and the players. Weren't a whole lot of things to talk about there, but we talked about some stuff, touched on Tyler Johnson a little bit, and then we ended with this TBT talk. So that being said, you guys have anything else?
What do you think, Ty?
I have a few things. So, Kyle mentioned it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Like the videos. Those seriously, that helps us out a lot with views, with the algorithm. Check us out on all our socials. We're on Twitter. Check us out on TikTok. We've been talking amongst the group, guys, getting our TikTok game up a little bit. Like us on TikTok. Share those with all your friends, your family. And we're kind of been talking about future shows and what we want to do. We have some stuff down the pipe coming. We have some possible big time guests. We're not going to mention names just yet, but we have some big time guests coming in that I know
Well,
everybody's going to want to see.
I think we
And
can say they're players.
yeah,
They're players.
we do have a prominent player that we're hoping to bring in shortly. We're working on getting that confirmed. He's been a little busy, but that's coming down the pipe. And we've been discussing, and I want you all to let us know in the comments. Make sure you say in the comments, let us know, having an all-time Louisville basketball draft. Let us know your thoughts on that. We've been discussing it, how we want to do it, if we want to do it. We're getting close to football season, so if we're going to do it, it's going to be in the next few weeks. So let us know if that's something that intrigues you or not. If not, that's cool. We accept any and all feedback. So just let us know.
I was just gonna say that I just give a shout out to my buddy Chris. Happy to be your best man, buddy. Happy to be right your side, rolling with me for all these years. And it was my pleasure to put that together for you this past week. It was a lot of fun, man, and hope you had a great time. And to all the U of L fans that are as big as fans as Chris is, if you can, get out there and get those TBT tickets. Let's get out there and support these guys. I'm not very super happy about the $33 ticket charge, but I think I'm probably still going to take my son because, man, that's a lot of talent, and it's going to be in that gym. So Not to mention you got local guys like Chris Dow that are on that team, just ballers. So it's time for Louisville to show out, and I'm looking really forward to it. So that's all I got to say. We'll end it with go Cards and go Kroger.
Go Cards. Till next
Go
time.
Cards.